Hello everybody. It is Thursday evening and this is Coach Diane of DianeWoodwright.com coming to you live tonight without any filters. I still haven't figured out why I couldn't get that filter off last night, so I'm not even touching it tonight, but I've gotten a lot of comments that everybody liked how cute I looked with my little purple and pink cat ears, but I certainly didn't mean to come across funny, but it sure kind of was a stress reliever for not only me, but for some other people, so it worked out for the best, right? Tonight I wanted to, hey there Joe, how are you? Nice to have you on. Is it sunny down there in Florida? It's been kind of cloudy here, a little cooler, but it is almost December, right? Tomorrow's December. That's hard to believe. So if you are coming in and watching live, please put a 1 in the comment section and let me know where you're coming from. I happen to know that Joe is coming from Florida because that's where she lives, in the sunny state of Florida. So thank you for joining me. And hi, Steve. It's nice to have you on as well. My topic tonight is, I kind of want to switch things up. I've talked a little bit about stress and ways to relieve stress. And last week I talked about 4 types of food, or 4 foods that helped you sleep better. And tonight I want to focus back on foods. And I want to talk about whether you need to buy organic foods or not. And there's a lot of back and forth about that. And I think it depends on maybe who you ask as to whether they say yes or no. But there are certain fruits and vegetables that you definitely want to buy organic, and there's some vegetables and fruits that you don't really need to buy as organic. But first of all, why don't we want to eat organic? And I thought this was an interesting fact, and I did in my research I found that, prior to World War II, we were farmers, or we were a country of farmers, right? And we didn't use pesticides and herbicides. But as we've become more and more industrialized, and we've developed all of these pesticides and herbicides to help control the bug population that disturbs our food, we've come up with more and more chemicals that help to take care of the little critters that might damage our food. So I thought that was interesting. I may have already known that, but it kind of comes back to you. You really don't think about it. So I know my grandparents and my parents, when they did farming and did their own vegetable gardens and stuff, they would have not used many pesticides at all. So it does make a difference. So why don't we want to have pesticides on our food? Well, because pesticides and herbicides are toxins, and they are put on food to control the bugs, right? So if it's going to kill the bugs, what do you think it may eventually do to us? Obviously, we're not taking in the amounts where humans are much bigger than the bugs that are in our food, but if you buy foods that have these pesticides on, you can't completely get the pesticides out of the food. That's why certain foods are better to buy as organic, and some foods it's not as important that they don't have to be organic. So some of the risks that you can get by taking in these toxins is, one, the toxins from the herbicides will affect your nervous system and your immune system as well. But it also increases your risk for cancers and certain other diseases. Also, from my research, the people that should be more concerned about consuming more non-organics is women in the childbearing age and children, because of what amounts are in some of the foods. Very small amounts, but they can pass on, and they can cause some issues with the children and the women of of childbearing age. So it's as a precaution. They suggest that if you are a woman with children, or are pregnant, or have small children, that you buy as much organic as possible. So some of the effects that don't bother the humans, but they do pertain to us, and they do affect us in a certain way. But the herbicides and pesticides contaminate the groundwater. They ruin the soil structure and promote erosion, and could also be a factor as to why the honeybee population is dying off. I'm not saying it is the answer, but in my research it said it could be the cause that maybe leads up to that. So that is something to definitely think about. A lot of people say, but if I want to eat organic, it's really expensive. Well, yes, it can be, and there's different reasons for that. Some are just because it takes a little more time, and there's a lot more regulations and stuff that you have to do. I didn't really research that in depth, but there are certain regulations and issues that come with that. So there are foods that, if you can't afford to buy those foods, then you can concentrate on the foods that you don't need to eat as organic, and maybe not buy the organics. So let me give you 15 foods that should be bought as organic, and they are strawberries, spinach, nectarines, apples, peaches, pears, cherries, celery, grapes, tomatoes, sweet bell peppers, cherry tomatoes, potatoes, cucumbers, and lettuce. So all of those should be bought as organic. And even if you wash them, or if you use those sprays, that is still not a guarantee that you're going to get all of the pesticide off of any of your fruits and vegetables. So it is best to buy those 15 that I just mentioned as organic. So, hi Arlene, thank you for jumping on. Nice to see that you're on here. 15 foods that you do not have to buy as organic. One of them is sweet corn. And corn, a lot of people think it's a vegetable, but it's actually a grain. But anyway, that's one of them on the list that you can buy that doesn't have to be organic. Avocados, pineapples, cabbage, onions, sweet peas that are frozen. I'm not sure what the difference, but it says frozen after it. Papayas, asparagus, mangoes, eggplants, honeydew melon, kiwi, cantaloupe, cauliflower, and grapefruit. Now, if you think about it, some of these you're cutting off the rind, so that I don't know that a lot of the pesticides and herbicides can actually penetrate into the rind and that far into the fruit. So that may be why they're on the list of clean fruits and vegetables to eat. So that's again, as I mentioned earlier, if you can't afford to buy organic, those are the ones that you mainly could concentrate on and that's a pretty varied list. There's several fruits and vegetables on there, so that's pretty varied, and you could still eat pretty healthily with just those 15 if you wish to. So also, you definitely want to buy your meats as organic, and that is the best way to get it, because when you buy organic, you're able to reduce the organic certification requires that meats are not given hormones and those types of things. So by being organic, it reduces the antibiotic resistant bacteria. Therefore, you have a lower chance of getting meats with the bacteria in it that can cause some damage and make people sick. So that is my list of 15 foods that you definitely should buy organic, and 15 fruits and vegetables that you do not have to buy organic. And one other thing to note is that if you're buying organic processed food, even though it's organic, it's still processed food. And I think what I'll do tomorrow is kind of continue this conversation on into why you should eat processed food, why you shouldn't eat processed foods. So I just wanted to hop on real quick. I know it's later than normal, but you can buy organic and you're eating healthy, but if you can't afford that, there's plenty of options for you to buy what's called the cleaner types of food. So again, I'd like to thank you for watching, jumping on and watching with me. And please, if you are watching it live, put in a 1, and if you watch it on the replay, put in a 2 for me, and then type in where you're calling from. Oh, it's been a long day. Where you're watching from. I appreciate that, and I appreciate all your likes and your loves. And I'd like to have you all go to my website, DianeWhitreich.com, and go to the home page and put your name and your email address in, and you can get, by doing that, you can get my free opt-in, which is why the metabolic method works. And in the metabolic method, we teach that organic is best, especially for your meats and your fruits and vegetables. Organic as much as you can. And like I explained, there's the pesticides, and there is the slight chance of, if you buy foods that are not organic, there's a slight chance of you taking in toxins that your body really doesn't need. And those toxins can also produce issues within your body and lead towards developing certain diseases. And that's where I'm going to lead into tomorrow, because processed foods, we teach processed foods will do the same, and that's why you should stay away from them. But tomorrow night I'll kind of tomorrow afternoon I'll kind of dive in to a little bit of processed food, and I'll carry that conversation on probably to the weekend as well. And I think we'll be looking at some nutrition labels on Saturday. So that's my plan for the next couple of days. I started with the certified organic. Tomorrow I'll talk about processed foods, and then we'll move into nutrition labels on Saturday. So I hope you all have a great evening. Thank you again for watching, and this is Coach Diane from DianeWhitreich.com saying thank you again for watching, and have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow.